Hey guys, Dave Durante here with PowerMonkeyFitness. We're going to be talking about the elusive press to handstand today. So a couple areas that we're going to be focusing on. Generally, a press to handstand can be broken down into two really simple areas. One, strength, the other, mobility. Do I have the ability in each of those areas to be able to create an efficient action? So what we're going to do today is give you some quick, easy tips to be able to tackle both of those. So when we talk about the strength side of things, majority of the time what we're going to be focusing on is the front part of the shoulder. Is that strong enough to be able to withstand the amount of weight that's drifting forward? What we're trying to do is prevent a lot of lean forward, but it's going to happen. And this actually translates into another gymnastics movement that's actually really challenging, a planche. If you have good planche strength, it's going to make your press to handstand a lot easier. We're going to show you a couple drills to help build from part of that shoulder to understand what a planche can do for your press to handstand. All right, tip number one here on the strength side, this is a planche raise. All right, so we're starting out with very, very lightweight. I'm using 10s here, but I would prefer you guys to start with something even lighter. Now what you're seeing here is elbow being locked out. That's going to be part one. And also you're going to be thinking about 3 different hand positions that apply to 3 different hand positions that you might see in a press to handstand. The first variation that I'm showing is going to be in a palm facing forward position, which is essentially making sure that your palms would be down on the ground. If I opened up my hands, it would mimic the same type of position that would be on if I was doing a handstand on the ground. Version 2, I'm going to turn so that my palms are facing each other. This essentially is equating to doing a press to handstand or a handstand with something in hand like a parallette or a set of parallel bars. This is the same type of a press that we would use if we were on that type of an apparatus. Version number 3 is going to be an external rotation of those dumbbells in your hand, and that type of variation is going to apply to a handstand that we would see something on rings. That's more of a dynamic apparatus. So all of these 3 variations have a direct application to different handstands and different presses that we'll be seeing later down the road. This is an area everyone should be working on. Lightweight, get that shoulder start working for you on that press. All right, tip number 2 here on the parallettes. This is another one of those exercises that I guarantee you're going to have a hard time with at first, and it's not going to look like what you're seeing in the video, but bear with the process, all right? I'm showing 3 different variations here to show you what it might look like at first, and then eventually what we're going to be building towards. So everyone's going to start out on parallettes in an L-sit. The first one will be with the hips just slightly behind your arms, holding that end position for a nice long 3 seconds, and then returning back to your L-sit. Version 2, hips are coming up a little bit higher, coming back to the L, and then our third version is where the hips are almost fully stacked up over the shoulders, over the hands, with those legs closer to vertical. This position, not going to happen right away. Try to get to your maximum point without bending the elbow. If there's any bend in the elbow, take it down a notch, keep those hips a little bit lower so you can really make sure that the shoulder is doing the work rather than the biceps doing the work. All right, tip number 3 here is going to be a planche lean. All right, again, staying within this world of trying to emphasize the importance of a good planche exercise and its application to our press to handstand. The planche lean is going to be done on a rower. And what I'm showing you here, where your feet are on the seat, I'm laying my feet flat. You can stay on the balls of your feet if it's a little bit easier for you. But what we're thinking about doing is creating a nice hollow position. So feeling like your hands are pressing into the ground and rounding all the way through that torso, creating a nice uniform curved shape from that shoulder down through to your feet. Elbows staying locked out again throughout the entire exercise. And I have my fingers turned out slightly, almost where my thumbs are pointing directly forward. So fingers out to the sides. From there, lean as far forward as you can without breaking that body position. Hold that end range for a good 3 to 5 seconds. Then slowly pull yourself back to that same starting point where your shoulders are directly up over your hands. We'll repeat the action and go as far as you possibly can. All right? This exercise will slowly start to drift further and further forward, leaning as far as you can, where you can maintain body position. Cautious here. Be very cautious. A 1-inch difference is going to make a significant difference in terms of you being able to maintain the position. It's very likely that you'll take a header if you go too fast, too hard. So be careful. Make sure you're not going too far without really understanding what you can handle. Take your time with this. It's going to go a long way with building that strength for the front part of the shoulder. On the mobility side, one of the areas that we're really going to be focusing on is this idea of compression. Now, what does compression mean? Compression means, can I get my torso to meet up with my legs? Most of the time, the 2 big limiting factors with good compression is my hamstrings and my lower back. All right, tip number 1. This is going to be a compression drill. It's going to be a pancake good morning. So pancake good morning is essentially sitting down on the ground. What we're going to try to do is get our legs to about a 90-degree angle. What we're thinking about here is trying to hinge from the hip by keeping the back as flat as possible. Arms will start up overhead, and you're going to be thinking about bringing the chest down towards the ground as far as you can go without compromising lower back position. I guarantee you, if you're really tight in your lower back and hamstrings or another area of weakness, the tendency will be for you to think about rounding and trying to get closer down towards the ground with your shoulders by breaking position. Avoid that at all costs, all right? So even if you just have to start with the arms completely overhead and you're staying within a very limited range, that's preferable over trying to round the back. So we're going to go down as far as we can. We'll hold for 5 seconds, then pull ourselves back up to vertical and repeat that action 5 times. Okay, tip number 2, we're going to be thinking about, again, that compression. They're going to be pike ups and straddle ups. These suck, guys, all right? So bear with it as much as you possibly can. These are not fun. In fact, the worse it is, probably the better they're going to be for you in the long run for your press. Hands down on the sides of your legs for this first version in the pike, and you're going to compress, meaning chest as close down towards your knees as you possibly can, and you're going to lift your legs off the ground for 10 full reps without your heels touching the ground. If this is challenging for you, lean the shoulders back. Get into a position from a torso perspective where you can lift those legs off the ground without too much issue. Version 2 is going to be our straddle up. Go as wide as you possibly can here. Most of you guys won't be able to go too wide, but do the best you can here. Same thing, 10 reps keeping those feet off the ground the entire time. Now as we bump it up a notch and you feel like you're getting into a position where this is a little bit easy for you, one, you can reach the hands out a little bit further, or you can try straddle overs or pike overs. Those are going to be our level up, ramped up versions. The pike over is going to start with the hands a little bit wider, and feet are going to basically act like a windshield wiper going over a target. I don't have any targets here that I'm kind of using to kind of use as a demo, but imagine something out in front of you. You can put a shoe, you can put a wall ball, something there to have a physical target for your legs to go over, but use something if you feel like you need a target to shoot for. The straddle position is going to start out wide with the legs. Hands are going to stay close towards your midline, and you're going to be windshield wipering back and forth with both legs together. 10 reps of each of those. Again, these guys suck. I guarantee you it's going to be an exercise you're not going to want to do. There's a lot of benefit in the long run. Okay, tip number 3, we're going to be touching on our Jefferson Curl into an overhead press, all right? So you don't need a lot of weight here. In fact, I prefer you to start with almost no weight at all. First time you do this, no weight is beneficial. Standing on a little bit of an elevated surface, box on its 20-inch side is perfect. Feet out towards the edges to give yourself a little bit of that straddle position that you'd be doing with a press to handstand. And what you're going to try to do here is compress. Again, this idea of trying to get the torso as close to the knees as you possibly can. And you're going to let that weight drift your body into a deeper position. So you're going to be feeling a lot in your hamstring. Try to keep a nice flat back position. And again, this should be something that, one, is very skill specific. We're getting into this Jefferson Curl position because it's applying towards a skill that we're trying to achieve with our press, and also with starting with no weight so that we're not putting additional stress on the lower back and hamstrings that our body's not prepared for. Start out slow and then eventually ramp up the amount of weight. What's making this extra challenging is the secondary component here. So we're not just standing up to a hip open position, we're actually going to be creating a press overhead position with that plate as well to basically mimic the final position of that press to handstand. All right, so a little bonus accessory exercise for you guys, a way to be thinking about our press to handstand. This is actually one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to handstand. I want you guys to have a better understanding how to approach this. If you're new to this, please, please, please listen to this one. Take your shoes off. Simple. You don't need that extra weight. Take the shoes off, take the socks off, make yourself as light as possible. I guarantee you it's going to make things, when you're inverted, much easier to understand. Even though shoes might seem like a negligible amount of weight, it makes a significant difference when you're getting upside down, especially as you're learning. Take the shoes off, put them off to the side, and then get into your handstand work.